It's a tale of two, no, three rallies on the Washington Mall. On 8/28, hundreds of thousands came out to see Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin. A mere 2 weeks later, on 9/12, hundreds of thousands more came out to protest out-of-control spending. And this last weekend, some union folks took free bus rides to get free lunches and to hear lots of free lefty propaganda, and of course to leave obnoxious amounts of litter. I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta. Now, we're not here to talk about the litter. That's been done to death. But to help show you what really happened on the mall last weekend, we have two of America's favorite mall rats. From Allentown, PA, the man so nice they nearly named him twice, Scrapple-faced publisher Scott Ott. And from PJTV's Los Angeles studios, it's that globe-trotting stand-up comedian, Stephen Kruiser. All right, gents, let's get right to it. Scott, I want to show you a few seconds of video taken on Saturday. Let's go ahead and roll this clip. Yeah, the music was in really good taste. And if you'd like to see more video from the event, we've got it here at PJTV. Okay, Scott, here's the question. Do you have to be crazy to think President Obama is a socialist or, you know, just one of his fans?
Well, Steve, I'm sure, as with previous rallies on the mall or thereabouts, the president was not even aware that this one was going on. People would have to tell him later on that it was actually occurring. So I don't think you can tie him to a bunch of union organizers, SEIU and ACORN and Move On Dot, whatever they are these days, nor to the entire, apparently the entire Socialist Party in the United States showed up. The only thing that disappointed me in that film footage was that the little girl didn't seem to know the words to the song.
Bad parents. Okay, yeah, they need to change that red diaper. Okay, so there were some avowed socialists and commies at the rally, but Stephen, overall, was it really that liberal?
Relative to who goes to work in Congress just next door every day, I would say no. If you were using that as the litmus test, they were pretty much, you know, in, dare I say, lockstep with them. However, relative to the rest of America and those people out there looking for jobs and people out there worrying about their kids getting jobs when they get out of college and all the people who have been experiencing the actual angst that's been going on in America, I'd say kind of lefty, a little bit lefty, a little bit lefty. At one point, you couldn't hear it because of the music, but Fidel Castro called from his sickbed and said, guys, lighten up. a little too heavy.
Castro jokes never get old. Yeah, it's just a step to the left. Maybe we'll have a jump to the right here soon. All right, Scott, after the original Tea Party, the one in Boston Harbor, the Brits sent in vicious Hessian mercenaries to put it down. Now we've got vicious SEIU members giving out beatings. Is history repeating itself here?
Well, I mean, the answer to the power in the minds of the people who are in power is always to meet any rebellion with force. And in this case, you know, an organized force was shipped in from afar and brought in there to try to put down the rebels, metaphorically speaking. But it just doesn't ring true. I mean, go ahead. It's funny. I encourage you to go ahead and watch speeches and watch videos from that day and see, as you know, Mr. Kruiser pointed out, does this really ring true with most Americans? Is this how most of us are really thinking? And you'll find that it isn't. It's really shocking to hear somebody from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial say, we're for jobs for 99% of Americans, not for lower taxes for 1%. You know, leaving aside the fact that none of that is even on the table right now, the Obama administration doesn't have plans for jobs for 99% of Americans, nor do they have plans to cut taxes for 1% of Americans. But the idea somehow that lowering taxes for the people who provide the jobs would not be a good idea, maybe to drum up some jobs, they're not connecting.
Yeah, if Americans were in favor of socialism, we'd have a party called the Socialist Party. Instead, we call them Democrats. Okay, Stephen, this rally was supposed to be promoting one nation, is what they called it. But the question we need to ask is, which nation?
That's perhaps the most salient question I've heard asked since the rally happened so far. Unonia, can we even say union? It was pretty much promoting big labor. We never hear about big. We hear about big pharma, big oil, big tobacco. Everything's big except the biggest of them all is this behemoth called big labor, and nobody calls it big labor. And that's what this was about. If big labor could become its own country, which it can't because then nobody would have any work. Okay, that's what this would be about. It was a big union picnic. That's what this was. Free box lunches, and you know, wave them in front of you. I'll go somewhere for a free box lunch.
Well, what's our problem then? Everybody loves a picnic. Last question for you, Scott. Free bus rides, free lunches. Their dear leader needs all the support he can get right now. So why was the turnout so much smaller for the left-wing rally?
People are busy in this country. Even liberals are busy. I mean, they have lives to live. They have kids to get to soccer games, and you know, no more football games, of course, but all soccer games. And who wants to take out all of that time to go to Washington, D.C.? They literally had to compel those people who were there to show up. I mean, you had a combination of people who were there either by force of their membership in some organization that controls their financial destiny, or there were, you know, hippies on PCP who didn't have anything better to do.
That's Scott Ott, author of Laughing at Obama, Volume 1, and editor-in-chief, of course, of ScrappleFace.com. All right, Stephen, wrap this up for us. You are a professional funny man, but are you going to get material out of this stuff, or is the threat just too real to make light of it?
Well, I'm sure I'll get a little bit of material out of it because comics go dark once in a while. But the threat, as you said, I was on another show discussing this, and we were talking about the fact that communism very recently in our past was a bad thing, okay? The Soviet Union was a bad thing. The kind of totalitarianism that they seek to enforce is a bad thing. And this is something that we're not that far removed. We're less than 2 decades removed from the Soviet Union, and now suddenly it's turned into this CNN, MSNBC event, and that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, we're making communism cool again. Great. That's my buddy Stephen Kruiser, host of Cruiser Control right here on PJTV. And you can see his stand-up act all over the country. Please, try the veal and don't forget to tip your server. Folks, this was a rally all about other people's stuff. Other people organized it. Other people provided the transportation. Other people brought the box lunches. Other people took care of the trash. And in the end, what they want is other people's money. And we're the other people. For Scott Ott, Stephen Kruiser, and the entire Trifecta team, I'm Steve Green.